So if we actually can live without food, like why so many people are dying out of famine. So my understanding of that through my experiences is that what you believe is gonna kill you is actually gonna kill you for real. Yeah, one of the biggest conditioning belief that we share, like in so many cultures, is the fact that we need food to survive. Yeah, and only some thousand of people took the experience so far with themselves that they've challenged that belief. And challenging a rooted belief, and especially when it's shared with so many other beings, it is a big one. And what you all guys are reporting from your fasting is like that moment where you feel the hunger or you feel the fear, or even you, Joel, it was so beautiful actually, the synchronicity of you being lost in the bushes in the south of France in the pilgrimage, and like just feeling like the first thing is like, oh my God, if I'm really lost, how am I going to survive without food and water? So it is a big one. And the only capacity to stretch your physical your physical capacity is actually for your mind to lean over another belief. So stretching the belief that your mind have in order to get more ability that can also land in the physical body itself. So there was this story of there's different stories actually of human beings that suddenly have incredible physical capacity when they were not that they were not aware of. So the one story that comes to my mind is like this mother that was in a car crash accident, and her daughter was trapped under the car, and out of nowhere this woman that was not supposed to have so much power and strength could lift the car to save her daughter. So that's, on one side. On one side, it's like suddenly when there is something that goes beyond any belief in your mind, then your physical body will react to what you think you're able. And in that moment, that mother, the only thing that she wanted to be able to was to save her daughter. On the other spectrum of it, there's another story of a guy who got trapped in, I don't know how you call that, those fridge in the butchers, like the big fridges that are cold. And just got trapped and locked in there, thinking that this fridge was on, and so he died of low temperature. So his body reacted as if he was in a fridge and that it was actually cold. So his body was actually cold and died from that. When it was found, they realized that the fridge wasn't on. So actually it was a normal temperature and the body should not have reacted that way. But the only fact that he was believing so thoroughly that he was trapped into that condition that would bring him to death actually brought him to death. So that's how I can answer that. And it's not just through the story, it's like also through my own experience, and especially with the dry fast. Because the fasting, even doctors say that you can still go on for a long period of time without deprivating totally your body. So, there's been always doubts, and also the longest I've been without food was 50 days. So it's like, yeah, maybe, my mind's still questioning it, and it's like, yeah, maybe if I go for longer, maybe, something will happen. Even though I have proof of people not having received any food for way more than that, and now I start really to believe in it. But for the dry fasting, that was another level, because actually science said, and medical doctors said, that after 3 days without water, you die. And this is the information that was like all the time in the background of my mind when I did my first ever dry fast, where I locked myself alone in a house, pretty crazy, pretty kamikaze kind of style, where I pushed through an experience and telling to myself that even if I would to die, because I wasn't sure at that moment, right? I didn't have the certainty that I have now. But even if I was to die, that would have been worth of me believing in something and following that call. There was a soul call for me to really go in that and experience an expansion that might be available to me, a freedom that might be available to me, and that I'm not experiencing because I'm restricted with what I'm conditioned with. So yeah, I remember that when I went to sleep on the third night of my first dry fast, which I was already a zombie at that time, I was scared. I was like doing my prayer and being like, yeah, I might not wake up, because this is what I grew up into. That was the first one in 2015. So right now I'm on day 4, actually. I wake up today from a day 4 of a dry fast. And I'm giving you a video now. I'm feeling really good because there's something in my body that knows, because I've been into that experience so many times now. So my body knows that actually up to 11 days, which is the maximum I've done with that water, up to 11 days, my body knows that we're not dying. So then now every time I go back into a dry fast, it feels like I'm feeling totally normal. No one would believe that I'm dry fasting right now. I'm feeling really good. Like I can have beautiful talk. I can walk. I went to ski yesterday. It's like all those crazy things, yeah. So, but that was not the case in my first one. So it's like almost a workout, it's like you're on this edge of something you don't believe it's possible, and suddenly your experience of something that is different of what you believed stretch your mind to the point that then your body is an executor of your mind. Yeah, your mind is the brain, is the control, and so that's why it's important to sharpen the awareness of your mind, even though it's painful sometimes, to sharpen it and to bend it, like taking away the rigidity of everything that we know, so that actually through that expansion the body can also respond to that flexibility, and we can discover the 90% other of capacity that we have as human beings that we haven't explored, because we're so confined with just responding to the reality we believe it is, that we don't explore the maximum potential of our expression as a human being. And I believe that actually living without food and water is one of the capacity that we have as being well-being, not needing anything externally. That doesn't mean that we're not sharing anything with the external environment. So all this path is a path of freedom. And imagine, and that was one of my thoughts the last time I was dry fasting, which was the longest one, the 11th day. I was like, wow, you're doing something amazing, Laura, in the way that, especially how the world is going now and so uncertain, and who knows what the fuck is going to happen this next coming year. But if we're going to another third world war, if we're going to go and lack resources, like fuck, to actually experience a freedom and a knowing in the body that there is a capacity to live without it, it's like amazing, But if you don't know that, if your whole life have been focused and totally surrendered to the belief that you are gonna die, and especially in the countries of famine, it's like the fear of dying is so present already in the parents that birth a child. It's like there is so much transgenerational information that we get from our family line, and especially if we had parents or grandparents or ancestors that went through famine, it is something that is deeply rooted in us. And that's why I think, Joel, you were saying in China, and I can resonate with that in Italy. It's like, fuck, my grandmother always wanted to feed me because they went through the war. They went through the Second World War, so they knew what it was to be deprived from food. So it's like, take that food, take that love, honey, take, otherwise you're gonna die. So every time that you take that spoon in your mouth, you're actually saying yes to that belief, to that unconscious belief that is like just spread around. And what it is to actually, what it takes for us to shift such a paradigm, to actually stretch the capacity of believing that our life is not what it's conditioned to, but there is so much space and expansion in which we can recreate other realities. So that's to answer that question around what about people who die from being deprived from food and water. Yeah, it is a thing, and it is something that can happen also, and that's why it's important. That's why I want to bring awareness all the time to the people that come to those groups, because if you come and you just want to fast because you want to lose weight, you're still in that belief, that actually going into this, and this is when a fasting that is a cleansing needs to have a shift if you want to start bringing that as a way of living. Because if you do a diet or if you do a fasting, you know that you're taking calories or whatever you believe it is, you're deprivating your body out of prana, out of his nutriment. Yeah, and in that realm, in that belief, the belief is that your body will be healthy and have everything it needs through nutriment, through vitamin that you can find in certain foods. Yeah, so when you shift into a breatharian way of thinking, it is not anymore the solid composition of your food that brings you aliveness and life force, but it's actually the light, the prana, the energy that is in the food that will give you that energy. And that's why when you eat very food that is done with consciousness and love, it is actually way more nourishing, and you don't need much. Versus when you go to McDonald's or any fast food that is just like not made with any love, there is no energy, there is no love in it, so that you don't feel fulfilled, and you want more because there's something in you that is seeking for something that isn't in that food. So if you take that paradigm away and you feel like it's actually not the solid food in itself, but the love and the light that is in the food, so that you can also find that love and light in other things in life that can give you that energy of blossoming. And you might notice that when you are in a happy relationship or the beginning, in the honeymoon of any relationship, you don't want to eat that much because you're so nourished by that relationship. Or you've got a new job or a new house, or you're in a project, in a creative project that brings you so much joy that you forget to eat. And you don't feel deprived, because actually the biggest nutriment of that body is love. Yeah, that's love. So if we don't have love, and if we don't feel the love through us into everything that we do, including eating, we're gonna start to be deprived and sick. And we mismatched what was actually nourishing. Like we mismatched the purpose of the solid food. It was just, the solid food is just a container of that love, might be a container of that love. And so by eating this, you're eating the love, and this is what makes you healthy and in your life force. And then we try to recreate food into industrial farming to recreate that food, but what we realize is that that food is not nutritious anymore. Actually gives a lot of pathology and makes you believe that, yeah, you're eating something, but actually it's depriving you truly. So that's why, again, it's not so much of your choice of eating or not eating, but it's really being aware of the amount of love that you put into stuff. And it's not just food, it's your relationships, it's your life, the way that you choose everything, your remembrance that you are in control of your choice, like bringing back this love for yourself in everything, including your food or your non-food if you're fasting, so that this is nourishing. Because once again, a fasting where you feel that you're depriving, that you're taking away something, you're taking away the love. If you take away the love because you like just forcing yourself into going into something with rigidity, it's gonna kill you. It's gonna kill you as much as eating shit's gonna kill you. Yeah. And another question that was asked by Elena and Leshmi about how do we deal with the sensation of hunger or thirst. like I said, it is gonna come, and especially because for so many years in your life you've associated certain symptoms or certain reaction of your body as being a sign of you needing to do something. So because of that limited belief of you need food and water to survive, every time you will feel this sensation that most of the time actually it's not even one of yours, it has been interpreted by your parents. Your parents seeing you in a certain way and be like, oh, this baby is hungry, let's feed it with something, because they interpreted it that you were hungry. So that then you start interpreting it yourself, that those kind of sensations are there to tell you that you need to drink or you need to eat. So of course those sensations will be there. And the more you stretch your belief and you give freedom to that thought, the less, first of all, the less you're going to respond to those sensations, because this is automatic. It's like really drug addict kind of thing. It's like, oh, I feel I want to smoke, like I feel like, oh, there's a strong urge, I want to smoke, or I want to take a dose of something, and you respond by taking it, and that calms this anxiety that is, oh my God, I'm lacking of this thing, because every time that you feel hunger, there is this fear of dying, basically. Or if you feel thirst, there is this fear of like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So it's actually a fear vibration that's there, and that's calling you to act upon, to do an act that will calm that anxiety. So the first thing when you have those sensations is to actually not respond. And that's also an advice in general, even if you're eating. It's like, try not to respond directly when you have a sensation. Try to just sit with the sensation without answering to it, without totally providing a comfort through an action. Just sitting with the fullness of that feeling. And most of the time, it's gonna disappear, because those sensations are there just for you to be there with yourself. Any sensation that is requiring an action because you're fearful of dying, what it's actually calling for, it's calling for you to be totally here and present with yourself, and reminds you the love that you are. So every time that you're doing something else, you're actually telling to yourself that you're not the love that you're supposed to be. And it brings you into fear. And so you need more food, and you need more comfort, and you need more of whatever addiction you have. So the first thing is really that, sitting with that sensation. Okay, I'm feeling hunger, my stomach's feeling that, or I'm feeling thirsty, or there's like a dryness in my mouth. I actually feel a lot of dryness today in my throat and in my mouth, and I'm just going to rinse my mouth most of the time. But the sensation of thirst, I don't have anymore. And the sensation of hunger, I don't have since ages, since 10 years. I don't have it anymore. So it's, which can be confusing sometimes, because so many people say just eat when you're hungry. What do I do when I'm not hungry? I'm never hungry. So I know that every time that I'm eating out of pleasure or out of coping with some emotional trigger. And then it's just a matter of like, yes, do I want to take that choice? Or no, don't I want to take that choice? But I don't want to live anymore with that slavery to a thought. Oh, there's a bee that's just here. Okay, hi bee. I don't want to live with that slavery, because it's a slavery. Those thoughts that are limiting my capacity are I don't know the word in English. I have it in French. Bourreau, the one who actually have the slaves. Anyway, so that's the first thing. So it's like, just sit with the feeling that is underneath, and the more you're gonna do this, and the more your body will understand, okay, so there's no reaction to a sensation, which then is gonna start milding that sensation away. So that's why many times when you actually go into a fast after a few days, because you're not responding to the sensation, the first 3 days you might have sensation of hunger, but because you're not responding and you're not taking any intake, then the sensations start disappearing. And most of the people that I know that have done fasting for more than 3 days, they say that there is no sensation of hunger anymore. And then every time that you're going to go back into that experience, it's going to stretch you. You're going to realize, wow, I was not able. The first time, I can tell you guys, the first time I fasted 10 years ago, one day fast. I thought I was dying. You would have saw like my victim story was coming out. Like really, I could just speak about that. People would, and I was like, no, I'm not good. I'm not feeling good. I'm like, oh, I need support because I'm dying. It was so dramatic. And now, like feeling how much I've expanded and stretched that muscle, it's incredible. And yeah, with the dry fast, it's really like a big one. It's like really, I just want to share another thing on that to show you how much your body reacts to your thoughts. But what happened in my last dry fast before that one, I wanted to go beyond my threshold. My threshold was 7 days. I did before that 3 dry fasts of 7 days. So I knew that I was safe. I knew because I've done it. It's like your body knows by the experience that he got, but also by, actually your mind refers to the experiences. Your body is just referring to what your mind is thinking in the moment. Your body doesn't refer to past or future, but your mind does. So my mind knew we've done that already 4 times, so 7 days are fine. So the first 7 days I was full of energy. Like again, no one would have ever thought I was dry fasting. I was doing workout every day. It was cool, and the clarity also that comes when you fast is amazing. So much clarity, so much download, beautiful. And what happened after the 7 days? Because I wanted to go beyond. I wanted to go until 10, which ended up being 11. But from day 8, which suddenly my mind was in panic. My mind didn't know anymore if that was okay. Are we going to die? Are we taking so many risks right now? What's actually going on? From day 8, I started having all the symptoms of deprivation, which is being gaunted, like becoming skinnier, like feeling a low of energy, like my mouth being even more dry than ever, like feeling lightheaded, like all those symptoms start coming on the day after what I knew it was possible. So every time that you stretch yourself a little bit more than what you believe is possible, it's actually creating more space into your mind, which creates more space into your body so that you can experience the fullness of who you are in a wider spectrum. Yeah, I think I've answered a bit everything and give some valuable download on that.